Ice and Fire podcast. I'm Sir Matt, the Bud Knight.
And I am Sir Ezra the Watchful. Welcome to our Song of Ice and Fire book club. Winter is here, and it's time to discuss Season 8, Episode 2.
Yeah, I believe it was called A Night of Seven Kingdoms. We had to do some digging online. Is that correct, Sir Ezra?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've literally seen like 3 to 4 different names for it, and we're recording this, right after watching the episode. So I think it'll refresh here after a while. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, when I launched my HBO Go, it just said Season 8, Episode 2. Didn't give a title, but I believe I've been looking online because we're recording this immediately following the episode. I believe that's what I'm seeing most things, is it's the Night of Seven Kingdoms, which plays a lot into what happens with one of our characters. We will get to that, but Sir Ezra, I think format for today will be the same as we did last week. We'll do a quick kind of spoiler-free review, reaction, and then we'll kind of start breaking it down and go from there. Okay,
yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, man. I mean, so I'm just, if we're going non-spoiler review here, this may be one of my favorite episodes of all time. I'm just gonna go ahead.
It's really good. It's really good. There's a lot of episode 1 had a lot of comedy, a lot of humor, right?
Yeah.
But the tension wasn't as big as the episode was today, right? Because now we're we're really close, to to the battle. There weren't really any big reveals,
right.
Thinking about that, I guess maybe there's not a lot of story left to tell. One of the things that I have been talking about is we still don't know the why of Rhaegar and Lyanna, and I thought maybe we would get that. We may just never get that in the show. If there was a bigger reason to it, like some Azor Ahai reason, I just don't think we're gonna get it. So I was kind of a lot of characters get. So there's some resolution really to a lot of these characters. As you think about it, you look at a lot of their arcs, and now I'm thinking, because I think you and I both believe, I think half the cast is gone next episode.
Oh man, it's gonna be a slaughter fest. Yeah.
So it was really good. There's a lot of comedy, a lot of kind of resolutions, a lot of really high points for a lot of characters, and then it ended the way that we had talked it probably would end. This is, not a super spoiler here. Obviously, we're assuming everyone's seen the episode anyway, but we all kind of know the big battles, episode 3. So it did end with
it's looming.
It did end with the White Walkers, with the shot we saw from the trailer, the foot going down, and them and them standing there.
Yeah, one of the things I would say too, just as a non-spoiler, tidbit. This was sort of like a lot of feel good, a lot of feel good moments, which is like I thought maybe I wasn't sure how that would go down. You had the tension as you said, and then by the end, midway through the episode, we have some really good sit down, lay down slash
right,
throw it back, throw it down type of moments, and it was fantastic.
Yeah,
really felt good.
Yeah, so all right, let's go ahead and dive into kind of a quick rundown of what happens in the episode. Then we'll kind of go back, a few big takeaways, and go from there. So
sure.
We literally just watched it. Luckily, I took some notes here as we did last time. Episode starts with Jaime standing there in the main hall in Winterfell, being essentially put on trial by Daenerys and Sansa and Jon, and even Tyrion's kind of there. And Daenerys, we saw that in the preview, talking about what would be due to the man who killed my father. And then we see a bunch of people stand up for Jaime.
Yeah.
We have
Brienne. Yeah, for sure. First of all,
right. Well, first is Tyrion, and Tyrion gets kind of put down because Jaime just shows up by himself. He does not. He's not. He is the Lannister army that didn't come, and he tells Daenerys that, and so then Tyrion is kind of getting a lot of pushback in this episode, and we see a lot of people really kind of stand up for both Jaime and Tyrion throughout the episode. We'll get to the other characters.
Yeah.
But you see Tyrion step up for him. You see Brienne is, I think, the real defining one. And even Bran says the things we do for love, and like the look on Jaime's face, like,
Yeah. Yeah, say no more.
Say no more. And, Brienne steps up for him, talking about, Sansa, Lady Sansa, you wouldn't be here if it weren't for Jaime, because we swore an oath to your mother, and that's why he saved my life at one point. So that's kind of
right.
And then Daenerys asks Jon, and he is like, "Oh, I need every man I can get." And then Jon just kind of gets up and walk away. So you can tell there's a little tension between Jon and Daenerys.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. He's dwelling on what he learned last episode for sure.
Yeah, he does. So. I don't think he really. And Daenerys at this point doesn't know. Obviously, we're in full spoilers here, so we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can tell Daenerys. You can tell something's off with Jon a little bit. Then we have and then it's I like that Grey Worm gives Jaime back his sword, and kind of just like puts it in his chest. So that's just Grey Worm and Jaime Lannister are not two characters that like you think about coming together at some point, because their paths have been so far apart, and then we're at this point now where all the characters are here essentially, with the exception of like Euron and Cersei. So they're all going to be kind of interacting and having interactions, and we'll get to the fireside chat later, which is very, very awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, I thought when Grey Worm did that too, it's just sort of like he's it's almost like he's expressing Daenerys's disdain a little bit, kind of like, boom, put this in your chest here, get out of here,
Then we get Daenerys talking to Tyrion, and she kind of tells him off about his trust of Cersei, and Tyrion kind of tells Jorah and Varys, probably one of you is probably going to be hand.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck, because one of you is going to be hand of the king. And this comes up later. Then we get a shot of Gendry in kind of the open courtyard, still working on dragonglass weapons. He has like a dragonglass axe he's working on, and throughout the episode, you see there's a lot of dragonglass all over all over the place. They got them on, on like the battlements. They've got them all over the castle. So it's well fortified. It is well fortified. Arya comes up. She has a conversation with Gendry. Where's my weapon? And then they. What?
Oh God! Phrasing, nothing. I'm just thinking phrasing there with the whole. Where's my weapon? All right, we'll get back.
Okay, yeah. So, Arya and Gendry have a little conversation about fighting the White Walkers and the Whites, and then we get to see a little bit of Arya being a little more badass, where she's taking the daggers and like throwing them at the wall there. So that's pretty cool. Then we get I have a line here. How do you know there is an afterwards from Bran there? That was.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't know, man. I mean, it's that he's kind of saying that's sort of the problem, right? Everyone's thinking about what could be happening afterwards.
Right.
I mean, we'll get to the Sansa and Daenerys thing, but like, who cares? Right now, you got to focus on today, right now, be in the present, because
because Bran and Jaime have a conversation. Then we see a little more. We see quite a bit of Jaime in this episode. Jaime goes kind of up to the rooftop there, and he's having a conversation with Tyrion. He's looking down onto the field. He sees. I like that we get to see Podrick training people, and we see and Brienne is going to run one of the battlements. She's like a battle commander. Jaime goes up to her and. He's like, it would be honored to serve under you. And I just don't think she knows how to take it. And so she kind of like storms off, but that comes up later.
Right. Yeah. It was cool.
Jorah, talking to, Daenerys about Tyrion.
Yeah. You see, he sticks up for him, doesn't he? You know, he kind of, then that's someone who she's trusted, even though he betrayed her, but she's has this long history with him, and is, forgiven him, and he's been her counselor. So it meant a lot to hear him kind of vouch for Tyrion and stuff. So yeah, and so that's where, and that'll come back into the episode later. Daenerys kind of does
reassure Tyrion, I need you.
Mhm.
Daenerys and Sansa have a conversation, which I thought was really interesting. They're talking about, you shouldn't have. We saw it in the trailer from last week. You shouldn't have trusted.
Yep.
You shouldn't have trusted Cersei, and what's going to happen with the North is kind of how it ends. But the part in the big takeaway for me for that was Daenerys talking about. Well, Sansa talks about Jon loving her. Men do stupid things, and
Sure.
and Daenerys talks about, like, my war is with Cersei, and I'm here fighting Jon's war because I love him.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to show her that, like, that she's not there for, like, the throne, like, but in a sense, though, later on we find out, well, really, that is what she is thinking about. She is kind of,
Right.
that is on her mind.
That is
still.
on her mind.
She's been raised. That's her whole life. She's been raised to want the Iron Throne, and so.
Yeah, I did I did very much like the line where she's talking about the men she's loved, and Sansa asks her about who was the other one, and she was like, someone taller.
Right.
Which is funny. Then we have Theon showing up.
Yeah,
which is great,
man.
Theon looks at Bran. I want to fight. I want to fight for Winterfell. I should be protecting Bran. And then we starting to get this Theon Sansa kind of connection. We see later at the very end when they're playing Jenny's song, and we'll get to all this later. But that was just one of the scenes in there. It was Theon and Sansa kind of sharing a dinner. Which is something going to happen there?
I don't. It looked real Lady and the Tramp, man. I mean, I don't know. It was. I mean, without the noodles, it was something else. I really did. I was kind of shocked. I was like, no, they're not actually like a thing. But she, he saved her in a time when, I mean, she really needs saving. And needed a companion in a sense. And so, yeah, I mean, he's on this full redemption arc,
right? And Theon's still a character that you and I have talked about. We're just so unsure of his end game. Especially now that he's saved his sister, so the only thing left to do is really kill Euron, I would imagine. Other than that, I still just don't know what happens with him. It would be really interesting if that is ultimately what ended up happening was Theon and Sansa get together. And
I actually am kind of like now that I've seen it, I'm because the way when Yara like headbutts him and he hits the floor, like he immediately just bounces right back up, keeps his mouth shut, moves forward. Like he's just not, he's not saying sorry anymore, but he's also just kind of like wanting to make things right and just moving forward, doing the right thing, and it's kind of cool. So.
I mean, that would definitely be an ending I don't think anyone would have predicted.
No way.
But it would be kind of cool and kind of fitting, just trying to go down this rabbit hole here for a second.
Yeah.
Because the Iron Islands have always strived to rule themselves.
Sure.
And a lot of the other seven kingdoms, with the exception of the North, they're really those about the only ones that are like we should rule ourselves. I mean, Dorne has always essentially been that way, but it's not something we see. We've seen a lot throughout the series of like we don't see like the Stormlands during the War of the Five Kings. Balon Greyjoy declares himself king. I want to rule the Iron Islands. He's going to try and take what he can, but I don't think he really has any idea that he's going to take the seven kingdoms.
Yeah. The Iron Islands have always been sort of just in either rebellion or just they're less easily cowed. They're really just raiders and.
So that's
a different take.
Yeah, that's something I'm very interested to see how that unfolds, how that plays out. The Sansa Theon. So
yeah.
Then we get Davos talking about not really being a fighter. Davos is also like, what is he, the stew master now, or what, he's
an advisor. I mean, who knows? I'm still waiting for Stannis to come back.
I don't think. But
as a white,
so you have Davos who is he's serving food, and we get a lot of cool little interactions. There's that one little girl he talks to, and he talks about the crypts is Gilly. That's where we see Gilly, and she talks about the crypts. It was cool. The crypts is really the safest place, and she talks about she wants to fight. So now that line though, the crypts is the safest place.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think it's not. You know, we read that theory on Follow Up Friday, where talking about the Night King possibly raising a huge army of dead in the crypts, which could lead to that Arya running scene. I'm starting to really kind of see a lot more of that. The idea of the crypts of Winterfell having a big role.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, just on just a quick aside here. I mean, something I noticed even in the first episode, and then in this episode are those lines where it's sort of like, yeah, this is the safest place, or hey, look how far we've made it. You know, like
right.
when Sansa's talking to Tyrion, it's sort of like, you know, but look, you know, we're both still here. We both made it. Total foreshadowing. One of them is gonna go. I'm
Probably.
just like nervous when you say that. I get nervous. I'm like, crap. That's two characters I really like.
Something like that was
happen.
referenced quite a bit. You're right. We had Tyrion talking about Sir Davos survived the Battle of the Blackwater and survived the Battle of the Bastards, and Jaime. It's like, well,
right. I know.
Tyrion saying, "I think we'll make it through." I don't.
Yeah. Why would you say that, man? Like, somebody's gonna be knocking on wood because, oh my gosh, that was something. Back to that Davos scene. You know, the girl had that mark on her face,
right?
Which reminded me of Shireen.
Which I think you saw that on his face too. He immediately had kind of. I think
connection.
He had that connection.
He thought back.
Right. Then we get the Night's Watch reunion, I guess you can call it. Dollar Said shows up, and Tormund Giantsbane, and Beric Dondarrion. And that's where we get the kind of line about, how long do we have? And then then it all, once Tormund shows up, the comedy really gets flowing. It's so awesome. He's like, is the big woman here? It's so, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's just so funny.
Yeah. They're going to build us to this moment, and he's going to they're going to be on the battlefield, and something's going to go down. It's going to break our hearts. I'm just going to I don't know, man. It was so good. I mean, so many moments coming up from him that were just hysterical and, make us love him and Brienne, even more.
Where Tormund's talking about, we're all going to die, but at least we'll die together. And he kind of just looks at Brienne. And then we'll get to the awesome scene at the end of the episode too. But Tormund has another great kind of moment. And then I have written down here Tyrion, Three-Eyed Raven. So this is interesting. So we were talking about this. So Tyrion has a conversation with Bran, and he says, Bran's like, it's a really long story, and Tyrion talks about, I'd like to hear it. And when they're in that the map room, and they're all looking at what could happen, Bran's talking about, I have the mark. The Night King will always come after me. As he has all of the other Three-Eyed Ravens, and so we see Bran became the Three-Eyed Raven after Blood Raven, or, in the show he's slightly, Red Rivers. In the show he's slightly different. Essentially says, you're the Three-Eyed Raven now. And so I mean, it's just something I thought about for a quick second. I'm not saying at all it's going to happen. It was just something I was like, that would be a really interesting way to go, because Daenerys had talked about, we need Tyrion for his mind. Jorah talks about Tyrion's mind, and Tyrion has always been someone like Samwell Tarly, who has been intrigued by knowledge and power, right, and the importance of knowing things. I drink and I know things, right? So I for a quick second, because you and I both have kind of talked about, we don't think Bran is going to make it. So if Bran doesn't make it and they lose that connection, is that something that then Tyrion could have? It was just, I'm not saying at all there's any validity to this statement. It's just something I thought about for a quick second.
I actually like it.
Jotted it down. Then we get a scene of Grey Worm talking to Missandei about what we should do after this is over. And
jeez.
Missandei talks about wanting to see the Narth again, the shores of Narth, and she says people are peaceful people, and Grey Worm talks about we'll defend you, and I'm starting to think, I think Missandei might die.
Really?
And I mean, we both think Grey Worm's dying, but I think Missandei might die first. Wow. Yeah, that line, I want to see the shores of Narth is just. that's one of those lines that would come back up if she like were to get stabbed. And as she's like slipping away, she's like, "I see them, the shores." Yeah, it's just something that we've seen so often in movies and television and stories. I could see them. I hope they don't, because I mean, obviously, I hope they both live. We don't think that's what's going to happen, but it's something I could see happening. Just that line really was like, oh man, now I'm thinking Miss Sandy might go first.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they keep making all these statements, and they're just setting us up for all these heartbreaking moments.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Next time we're recording, we're going to be in like a deep depression.
Yeah, we're gonna be deep in our cups, drinking, who knows what.
Yeah.
But
then we get the real Night's Watch reunion where they're all up on the walls. Ghost is there. I mean, Ghost doesn't really do anything. They don't even acknowledge that he's there.
He shows up.
I'm wondering if they even knew that. Oh, hey, Ghost is there, or they just were like, hey, let's CGI Ghost in here so people don't forget about him, because he doesn't do anything. They don't acknowledge him. He's just standing there. So,
right. Yep. He's back.
And then the conversation they have with Sam is hilarious, because they talk about, Sam, you should really be in the crypts. It's the safest place. And Sam says, "Do you forget that I'm the one who killed a White Walker? I'm the one who stole books from the Citadel. I'm the one who defended Gilly." And I just wrote my notes. Sam says, "Damn straight," essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was an epic moment for him. Yeah, he gets on the other guys. He's Sam the Slayer, man. So. So cool.
So then we get the start of what becomes a bigger scene that they reference back to, where Brienne, Tyrion, Jaime, Tormund walks in, Davos walks in. They're all sitting around this fire. I like that Pod walks in, and Pod's gonna drink some wine, and Brienne's like, that's not really the best idea. And she's like,
right,
okay, you can have half a cup. And then they show Tyrion, and Tyrion like pours the whole thing, and it's like overflowing, and he's like, shh. It was awesome.
Oh,
it was awesome. Yeah, that whole scene is great. And so then they're all kind of talking, and then Tormund walks in, and Tormund's like, hey, would you like some wine? He's like, I brought my own. He tells this story about he tells the story about what they call me, because he says they call you King Killer. And he's like, I'm sure. Jaime says, I'm sure some do. And so Tormund's talking about how he got the name Giant's Bane, and then he just starts slamming this drink, and it's like just dripping down his beard and on his shirt. And they're all,
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like it had to have been an in joke, because essentially it's you're talking about it, in a way it's kind of like a dwarf, a man with no fingers, a man with no hand, a tall knight walk into a bar, is essentially what that scene feels like.
Yeah.
Then we get
that was really cool.
Then we get Arya and the Hound. The Hound gets a little screen time here, where he sits down next to Arya. They have kind of another moment where she's like, why are you here? And you've never fought for anything but yourself. And the Hound says, I fought for you once.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. And it's cool because you get to kind of see him, just slowly but surely we see the side of him that comes out, and she keeps asking the question, like, why are you here? And it's sort of like, why is he up here? You know what I mean? Like, where like, you think back over just his story and his, his arc. It's like, man, it's crazy. He went beyond the wall and he's back again, still fighting. It's something else. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and it's something that makes me really, really excited for the books, because something you and I have talked about before, Sir Ezra, with movies. Like, let's take Captain America: Civil War, for example.
Okay.
It's a movie where there's so many characters that it's hard to give everybody the proper amount of screen time.
Yeah.
And even with this, there's all these characters, and I like that they're trying to do their best to give each one of them some sort of resolve, some sort of resolution. I think that might be it for the Hound. That might really be it, because there's just not enough screen time to give every character this kind of defining, fitting moment.
Right, or they were saving more of a screen time for later. Maybe he makes it, and
we know he fights, and I hope Clegane Bowl happens. But there's just a lot of these characters. Some of these smaller little bits are really going to end up being it, because there's just not enough time to give each one of them like a fitting ending, regardless of what it is.
Well, and everyone has their favorite too. You know what I mean? Like for me, from the get go, Arya has been like one of my favorite characters. I mean, I absolutely love Arya. I always have.
Right.
And I always will.
Yeah.
So, it's like.
Well, speaking of Arya, so then we get to a scene where Arya walks in, talks to Gendry. They have quite a funny conversation. What did the red woman want with you? And talks about, well, you kind of stripped me down, put leeches on me. Right. Arya's like, was that your first time? And he's like, well, we never. She's like, how many girls have you? And then the scene proceeds from there. Unfortunately, we were censored a lot. We got a lot of negative. We got a lot of negative reviews on the podcast because apparently all we ever do is talk about sex. So.
Right.
So
yeah.
right.
Yep.
I'm gonna so first we're gonna give the PG version.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Arya and Gendry have a conversation, and then they proceed to engage in adult activities where they remove their clothing.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
AKA Bone Town. I mean, we called it last week.
Bone Town, baby.
We called it. Okay.
I mean. Oh my gosh, it's so epic. I mean, yeah, I said at the beginning, favorite episode. I love Arya, and I've always wanted her to get with Gendry, so it happened. Right. And I'm like, Maisie, you're awesome, you're beautiful, you're great. And then I couldn't believe it.
Right.
I was like,
it's a character that I'm glad Arya's doing that. She's having her last kind of moment, because Arya is somebody who is is totally different. She is a total.
Oh, I thought you said
what?
I thought you were gonna say she was gonna die next episode. I was like, please, Sir Matt, don't be breaking my heart here.
I don't know. I don't know about Arya. We talked about it in our predictions. She is Gur's wife's favorite character, so a lot of people don't think she's gonna die. I don't. I
love her so much. Oh my god.
I don't see her dying.
Yeah.
At least that's where I'm at now. It'll change every week. I think in my original prediction I said she was going to live. I did, actually. I'm remembering now, but you just never know.
Dude, I also thought, Joe Dempsey, the guy who plays Gendry, I mean, like what, getting to talk about, I forgot that he hadn't really revealed that he was Robert's bastard.
Right. Right.
Which was really, I was like, that's kind of cool. I mean, we all kind of know that, but it's interesting to think about when the meetups happen and how that was the whole bit with the red woman. You know what I mean? So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really makes a lot of those, they're not really memes, but people put those pictures on Instagram of where Robert says, you have a son, or you have a daughter, I have a son, we should wed them. Well, they do. They do. So.
They do. I mean, I think they were married, by the old gods. Constant. I mean, it was, wedding ceremony and all. Right. So it's good.
Okay, so then we get to essentially two of really what I call like the last scenes. We cut back to the drinking party, the wine club, and Tormund, right, and they're all talking about essentially a night, right? And this is where we have an amazing moment where Tormund kind of challenges, why hasn't a king made you a knight? And then we get what I think we get two huge book references here. We get Jaime, who ends up saying we can knight Brienne. It only takes a night. It only takes a night to make a knight.
Yeah.
And it's a really awesome scene. He talks about, they call her a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which most of our listeners know who follow us for our book rereads know, a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the 3 Duncan Egg novellas, are easily some of my favorite portions of A Song of Ice and Fire. And it's a total reference to that because Brienne, as we know, is somewhere in the line a descendant of Duncan the Tall. And so Duncan the Tall is a Knight of Seven Kingdoms. It was great. Jaime knights her, in the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave. Awesome scene. Yep. Really moving scene. They all stand up, they start clapping.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very poetic and fitting for Brienne's character.
Yeah, it made me think of the White Book and the things that they'll write about, Sir Jaime Lannister, when his time is over, and it's just like, I think she lives on, and it's like sort of kind of a legacy thing. He knighted her. It's
Right.
just huge.
Well, and she shares so many similarities to Duncan the Tall, who is a very unlikely person to become a knight. He's from Flea Bottom. He, some people question whether he was actually even ever knighted in the first place, and he ends up rising all the way to Kingsguard. And Brienne's very similar case. I mean, for starters, she's a woman. Women aren't, allowed to be knights, is what they say. And so then Jaime ends up knighting her anyway. But it's a really, really awesome moment. Very fitting for her character. Actually, that's the scene I want to go back and watch the most as soon as we're done here. So then they do some more cutting around, and we get back to let's have a song.
Wow. Yeah. This was great.
Right.
This I couldn't believe. I knew it was gonna be Pod. By the way, I was just sort of like waiting for them to go around, and I'm like, let's have a song.
Yeah. So, we'll do this. There's one part I'm looking at, actually, my notes we skipped over here, but let's go back to it first. So Jorah gets a Valyrian steel sword.
Oh yeah, Heartsbane. Yeah.
Yeah. Jorah has a conversation with Sam, and Sam ends up giving him his house's ancestral sword, Heartsbane, talking about, I fought your father. He's one of the bravest men I ever knew. Gives him the sword. It's very fitting. So now it's like the ancestral sword of House Mormont is with a Targaryen, and the ancestral sword of House Tarly is with House Mormont.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but it's very cool, and it really makes me think Jorah's going to die. It's just really, right. Especially because Sam says, I'll see you afterwards.
It's like every character has that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And he's given his last bit of wisdom, I guess, to Dany in vouching for Tyrion, so I don't know. I mean, maybe this is it, man. I mean, but I just see him taking out some, some epic moments with him and that sword. We have to get that.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we will. And then he will be easily the most tragic character in the series.
Right.
All right. So Jenny's song, they're singing it. Podrick starts singing it. I saw on Twitter people were going nuts, all the book readers, because for the people who don't know, Jenny's song is a song that is about Jenny of Oldstones, who was this. How do I go about explaining Jenny of Oldstones to people who may just be show readers, because you'd have to really look her up.
Yeah, I mean, she's really just someone who, was an unlikely, becomes an unlikely princess, essentially. And so you've got the ghost of Highheart, kind of sings about her often. So there's this tragedy with the old Targaryen kings, to make it simple. She became involved with, I think it was one of Aegon's.
Duncan Targaryen.
Duncan, okay. And so the ghost of Highheart, who the Brotherhood Without Banners comes across often, in the books, they always want to, she always wants a song from Tom the Fiddler, and loves the song about Jenny of Oldstones, and just has this connection to her. It's just a sad tragedy. It's a well-known song in the Seven Kingdoms and things. So to hear it was actually cool. I think it was just sort of like, I don't know that it has any meat. I'm not really. I haven't really thought about how it connects to
right. Well, a lot of
now,
a lot of people think that that's the song Rhaegar sang that made women cry. Is that's definitely a big theory, or that Rhaegar learned that song while he was at Summerhall, when he would visit Summerhall, and that is quite literally the song of Ice and Fire. So there's quite a lot about Jenny's song. If you really want to do some deep rabbit hole reading, go check out Can't Use on WordPress. He has amazing theories. We've actually done an entire episode on one of his about the Lothston Shield. I highly recommend it. It's manifesto level writing. That's actually what he calls one of his things, is a huge manifesto about Stannis Baratheon. But definitely that's probably the first and best place to go if you want to learn more about Jenny's song and kind of the book significance of it.
Right.
And then we get Dany and Jon in the crypts having a little conversation, and it makes a lot of sense. Dany comes down and she's like, who is this? And he says, it's Lyanna Stark, and she says, people spoke so highly of my brother Rhaegar, but he would sing to people, talking about what Barristan Selmy had said to her, but then he raped her. And then Jon says, well, no.
Referring to Lyanna, yeah.
You were like, Lyanna, yeah. No, well, he didn't. They actually loved each other. And so then Daenerys actually gets quite upset because she immediately now understands, and she says that would give you a claim to the Iron Throne. And
he explains it all to her, yeah.
She's like, isn't it convenient that your brother and your best friend are the ones who have told you this? And before Jon can say anything about it, we hear the horn. They run outside, and winter is here.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. It's like we talked about this last week. Is that like, would she lay down her crown to save everyone?
Right.
I mean, to save the Seven Kingdoms. That's something Jon does do, and I don't think she would. I mean, clearly she's obsessed with that. And then, like, even when Sansa asks her about what's going to happen afterwards, she's like, I'm going to sit the Iron Throne. I mean, like, it's instead of just like, we'll deal with that when it comes, it's like, no, that's what I'm doing. And so the more I hear her say that, it's just like, there's going to be a confrontation, there's going to be a conflict, and I don't think she's going to sit the Iron Throne now. It's like, I was kind of shocked at how irritated she was. I mean, instead of seeing this as like someone who, is another member of the Targaryen family, and you love this person, it's just that initial shock is like, no, that gives you a better claim than me.
Right. Well, especially because I think she was all ready to marry him before that, because she had talked about, that's one of the reasons in the episode, I guess it's probably towards the end of season 6. It actually might be the season 6 finale, where she's telling Daria Naharis, sorry, you can't come with me because I may need to marry someone. Well, if you're going to need to marry somebody to forge an alliance, obviously Jon Snow is pretty much your only eligible bachelor, with the exception of pretty much Tyrion, who doesn't really have any claim to the now empty Casterly Rock.
Yeah.
So Jon Snow's really it in the first place, and I always thought that she would, when she found out, I kind of thought she would be like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Because she's at the end of the day, she's still going to need, I know she doesn't believe that she can have children. So, but if that's the case, then what are you going to do? You're going to sit the Iron Throne, and then what? And that's what Tyrion asks her. And then what?
Right. Yeah, you can't further your line.
As soon as you die, it's going to go back to warring again.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I don't know why. I think that's all going to heal up. I mean, one, she needs Jon to ride, a dragon.
Absolutely.
Her. You know what I mean? They have to survive this right now, so it's going to get pushed off, which makes me think that both of them obviously survive the Battle of Winterfell, and then, we'll deal with this afterwards.
Right.
Right. So.
Yeah, I'm starting to think so, because if I'm imagining there's a lot of action in this next scene, because they've described it as the longest, cinematic battle ever filmed. So if that's the case, I don't know how much dialogue there's gonna be.
Yeah, right. It's just gonna be some of those epic moments. People saving each other. Maybe just some real cool. I mean, Brienne of Tarth, leading people down. What she talking about? Being on the left flank.
Right.
I think she said. Right. Talking about the land, which was cool. So we're gonna get some real good moments of just battle commands, and stuff.
And some of the stuff,
tactics.
and some of the stuff. So I think we should move into some, now that we've kind of done the episode summary. Let's move into some of our big takeaways. So the actual battle plan, which I thought was really interesting, is essentially they want to use Bran as bait.
Yeah,
like we need to use Bran as bait and try to take out the Night King. That's going to be the best option.
I mean, my question was, is that going to work? I mean, is that?
I don't know.
Like that was my thing. I'm like, that's it? You think he's going to just walk in here? And I mean, how's he going to get in? Like, what's going to, there's supposed to be this big battle that happens out in the front. Are they just going to let him into the Godswood? How does he get in? So
right.
I thought that was kind of interesting. I know that he knows where he's at and he's going to come, get him. So they need to, and also you just have Theon and you have the Ironborn there,
right.
Theon's Ironborn. But like, it seemed like John was saying they were going to follow closely in behind.
Right.
But like you're laying a trap. I just don't think he's going to be fooled by that. Do you?
I don't.
The Night King?
I don't, man. I don't see it happening that way. There's not been a single shot of the Night King.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
right.
I'm sure we'll see him. I'm starting to think, do you think that the next episode is the whole battle? Do you think the Night King, well, it depends on if we think that if the Night King finishes up Winterfell and marches south.
See, I'm starting to think more and more that just what they're talking about with Cersei and her not being in this and probably not in the next episode. And if they're
right,
I don't know, maybe they would cut away from the battle and go back, but it seems like it's going to be one big, huge, continuous battle. So I don't know. I feel like once the battle's over, it's all, and now it comes down to the Golden Company and the Lannister army that didn't show up, that's waiting for them, in the South. Right. So, I mean, that's a total just prediction. I have no clue. It could be that, as you say, I mean, they end up severely, both sides are battered and kind of fall back and retreat. And the Night King lives on and they have to figure out something else. Or maybe he kills Bran. Maybe he actually does kill Bran.
Right.
And it's like,
yeah. It's so intriguing.
That's the shocker. What do we do now?
Even the preview.
Then we turn to Melisandre, I think.
Right. The preview trailer that we saw. So last week we didn't really want to talk about it in this, and we're still gonna do a full episode on it because we want to do that on Friday. But to be honest, it was mostly footage we've already seen, and the footage that was new in it is just it was very quick, like dun dun dun, kind of quick little shots, and a lot of it. It doesn't really tell us much other than we know there's a battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we have literally no clue, and it's great. I love it. I love that we don't.
I love
know,
that we're in the dark. I mean, no pun intended, but I really do love
right.
that. I really do love that we're in the dark. We're in the dark on this because so many other seasons have been spoiled. Excuse me. And this season really hasn't been the case. And the episodes have leaked a little bit early, but I have not looked at them. But it's not like it's been before where you were able to I think was it last season where you were able to, you and I downloaded some of the episodes, like we torrented some of the episodes like weeks in advance.
Yeah, that's I don't like that. I like being able to take them one at a time and really not know what's happening, knowing that there's no spoilers out there. There may be, I don't know. I haven't even looked because I just don't want that to be the case. I want to just, be a consumer and really just go on the roller coaster ride.
Right. And so Bran essentially did also confirm that the Night King is coming after me, which, we had talked about. Is he coming after Jon?
Yeah.
Right. But now, it's pretty much confirmed. It is Bran he's after.
Yeah. And it really, it made, when you looked at his motives, he kind of filled in the blank here and just said he just wants total darkness. He wants the world to be darkness. And he wants to, eliminate those memories. That Bran is sort of the embodiment of, mankind or just being alive, memory, life. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Are we being lied to? What if we're being lied to?
Yeah.
What if Bran is lying to us? I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think we're really getting fed a lot of.
I'm really starting to hope that the Night King. I obviously want him to be defeated so we can go finish the Cersei thing, but I'm really kind of hoping that the Night King isn't defeated here at Winterfell, because if you do, and we've talked about this before, then it's okay. So now it's just the battle with Cersei. And I feel like it needs a bigger. It needs to be a bigger ending. It needs to all come together. The whole idea of winter is coming all the way at the very beginning. None of the Game of Thrones matter because winter is coming, and I feel like it has to. I feel that it has to take place at King's Landing and be put into Cersei's face for it to have that kind of poetic.
Well, I think something that people Yeah, exactly. I hear you. I think something that people forget, and this we are a book club, and so we are reading the book series, and it is a series called A Song of Ice and Fire, and so if that is what the show is derived from, it's sort of like I think you and I think it needs to have a Song of Ice and Fire type ending, not just a Game of Thrones ending. So
Right.
that's different, I guess, when you think about it like that. So
Right.
unless it's going to be completely different, or they're just kind of on their own right now, and they're saving that piece with Cersei for the end. It would be nice if I don't know, like I am kind of leaning towards the Night King is not defeated, but he's pushed back in some way, or maybe he accomplishes his mission, kills Bran, and he's out. And he kind of leaves some other people to survive, or they barely make it out alive. So he really wins, and then they have to flee south and handle Cersei, or they go to the Iron Islands, and then they, are able to kind of head south, or who knows what the Night King will be doing after that. But I kind of think he might win, so.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm pulling up here some of our Facebook group is literally exploding. By the way, over these past 2 weeks, there's so many people talking about it. I'm trying to see if anybody has anything. Just kind of reactions. A lot of people saying that Brienne was the best part of the episode. Somebody saying, "Wow, there were so many more White Walkers that we saw. In the past, we've only seen, I think, it's about as much as 4."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So just seeing them like lined up there at the end. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We have Lord Jason Ross has kind of put down some of the lyrics, right, to the Jenny's song.
Right. Yeah.
He's got some of those in here, which is pretty cool when you actually just look at what's being said. High in the halls of the kings who are gone, Jenny would dance with her ghosts, the ones she had lost and the ones she had found, and the ones who had loved her the most. Yeah, he goes on, and this is cool. This is cool stuff. I mean, I think that the more I think about that song, it actually may, tie in here. There may be more to it, because as you said, it's sort of like, could be hinting at this A Song of Ice and Fire.
Right.
So. Wow. Yeah. If you guys haven't joined the Facebook group, definitely.
Absolutely. So okay. So
there.
Things we didn't get in this episode. We didn't get any Cersei. We didn't really get any sort of Jon or Daenerys, Sam, in a kind of interaction about that. Nothing, that didn't really kind of show up again.
Right.
Varys didn't really say anything. He was just there for a second, so we didn't really get much.
Yeah,
Varys.
which is
there's so many characters. It's hard.
Yeah, I know. I get
to...
that. I just think, like, for a character who was, I don't know, such a big deal and knows so many things, he seems to just really be in the back.
Right.
Now. It's interesting.
Right. Do you think
is he holding on to some information? I don't know. Like
two characters. I'm predicting we do see next episode. I would have to imagine we see Melisandre next episode. I would. If she doesn't,
you think she shows up during the battle?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like she kind of has to.
See, I kind of feel like she might show up afterwards and lead them to safety. And after Bran has been killed. I mean, that's sort of what I'm leaning towards.
You think the idea is like Bran's gonna die and then she's their next best hope. Now we did get Beric Dondarrion saying the Lord of Light has brought us all together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. R'hllor, man. I mean,
so
you gotta believe.
Do you think we're gonna get Azor Ahai type thing in the next episode or no?
I don't know. So I think if Bran gets killed, I think then that's what you would Melisandre would be back, kind of whispering that to Jon, and would be kind of proclaiming someone to be the Azor Ahai, that great hero,
right?
So or be able to explain, maybe because they said, like, when they're talking about the Night King, how do you kill him? And they talked about dragons, fire, and they're like, we don't know, we don't know what would kill him, but if we kill him, we have a chance. So really, they don't know what to do yet. And you've got Arya with her cool little weapon. They do have dragons. They have Valyrian steel.
I like that.
What would kill him?
I like that they asked, "Can Dragonfire kill the Night King?" And Bran's like, "I don't know. I don't think anyone's ever tried."
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and how does he not know? I mean, that's just I don't know. I mean,
Well, Bran, Bran is essentially, air quote here, all knowing, but he has to know where to look first. I mean, over time, he will have seen more and more things because he didn't know about the ceremony that Rhaegar and Lyanna had until Sam told him. And then he then we see a shot of him, okay, boom, I'm going to go. Now that I know where to look, I'll go find that. So it is possible.
Yeah, but it makes me kind of, when you say it like that, it also makes me think, he talks about how important he is and that he has access to all these memories and can tell these different things. And as you say, he needs to know where to go to look those things up. But I feel like, as you were hinting at, someone else could do that. Someone else could be trained, someone else could step forward with and have dreams. I just don't know that I trust Bran as much.
Really?
I don't know why.
You don't think you trust him as much?
Well, I just don't know, what he's. I don't know. He's brand new to the position, and so I get that. Maybe he hasn't had time to go look through everything. I just don't know. I mean, it all seems like the plan that they're setting up is just way too easy. I feel like it's not going to go the way that they think. He's marked. You know what I mean? He's marked, and so the Night King knows where he's at, at all times, and I don't know. So it's not that I guess that I don't trust him. Maybe he just doesn't. I'm not so sure that he's as powerful as all knowing as we think he is. Even though he's like the first character, he's like the main, the first point of view, chapter in the series and stuff. So which makes me think in the books, he is a really big deal, and he is a big deal in the show. But I don't know, man. I don't know how he's going to defeat him. I just don't know, like what he can't tell them how to kill the Night King, but he knows that the Night King is after him, and so they're setting this trap, and they have no way to kill him.
Right.
It's just they're going to do their best.
Right.
And
do you think so?
You think he would go?
Do you think it is the Night King that's chasing Arya? In that, do you think that? I think that's next episode, right, where we saw Arya running through Winterfell, and I think it is. I think it's the Night King chasing her, because I think she was supposed to be the one to kind of take him out, since seems the most likely.
Yeah. I think maybe that is. Yeah, I for sure. I actually think he may, spring the trap, and I think he's just gonna lay waste to everybody. I don't know that he, that they're gonna quite know how to kill him, really, and I think he's gonna. I don't know, but yeah, I think Arya is running from either the Night King or one of the other, White Walkers, that has broken through. Yeah. So it would be cooler for it to be the Night King, because, she says she's talked up how much she's ready to face death, you know what I mean, and she wants to see, she's not afraid of anything,
right?
So that would be the one thing that would really jar her, I think.
Yeah. So all right, well, I think that's a pretty solid recap of the episode, man. So just in closing, easily one of the best episodes of Game of Thrones.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it like I said, it is my favorite. I kind of joke, but I sincerely have wanted the Arya hookup forever. I've wanted that. It was cool. I want the Tormund situation to happen as well.
I do too.
I was happy to hear Jaime, say what he said to Tyrion about, just their beginnings, where they started and where they are now, and how their relationship has changed with their sister, and all of that is fascinating. So we didn't lose anybody, but there was so
we
much.
Haven't lost any. Other than the Umber kid, we haven't lost anybody yet. Which
I know,
which is shocking. It just means that they're all gone next episode. It just means they're all gone, man.
I know, it's actually. It's really nerve-wracking, and I don't know.
If you thought the Red Wedding was bad, just wait. That's how I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be terrible. We're all gonna be in tears. My other big last question though is
who dies first.
Just the whole.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my. That's terrible. Wait, I can't even start. We'll have to wait till Fall Out Friday to start really.
We should send us
thinking that through.
Yeah. Yeah, send it. Yeah, but what we'll do. Okay, so we did trivia last week. So this week we'll do. Let's do a who dies first poll or something, and everyone post it, and then whoever does it we'll give them something.
Yeah, I like that. That should be cool. So, and we want to hear your thoughts about the episode, so you can send those to btkcast@gmail.com. We do follow up Friday. I'd love to hear people's thoughts on Dany, and what's going on between Dany and Jon. Is there going to be some, I don't think they have time for this conflict to for them to sort this out before the battle. Battle's here, so battle's happening, and then we're going to have to, rendezvous with those characters afterwards when they're on their way to the Iron Islands.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, I do want to quickly say the trivia is still open from last follow-up Friday. All you have to do is be in the Facebook group, answer the question, which is, what color are Tormund Giantsbane's eyes? We're going to pick somebody out of that group, and we're going to do a Funko Pop giveaway. Pretty much, I guess we'll just pick a handful of characters, and you pick which one you want, and we'll send you that one. Probably going to do, something else like that next week. As well, and probably maybe, I don't know, throughout the whole season. We'll see. It's So
we're excited, man. It's good stuff happening.
Absolutely. So it's been so much fun doing this episode. But before we go, I guess let's man the wall, Sir Ezra.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, guys. If you would like, we're going to do a musing later on this week. We're going to go a little bit more in depth on this episode. We had some things we want to kind of continue. We want to watch the episode again and actually, because this is just our initial take. I mean, we literally watched it once and we just kind of go.
Right.
So we'll do a musing probably Wednesday or Thursday. And if you hop on to our Patreon, it's patreon.com/bend the knee. We have tons more content there. We've got book stuff. We've got things on the show. We're probably going to do a musing a week. Real quick, just little thoughts from Sir Matt and myself. So head over there, and we've got some. We'll have a Raven's Nest episode coming up soon. That will be probably after episode 3, I think.
Right, and it's probably. And normally we've been doing those on Sundays, but given the way the show's scheduled, it's probably gonna need to be on a Monday. Or
right
Monday,
3
Monday or Tuesday. We'll figure that out later this week and announce it. Just because if we were to post it on Sunday, I mean it'll be accurate for about 4 hours. So we're gonna need to post it on a Monday or Tuesday. So.
Yeah, and those are neat. So if you sign up as one of our bannermen or sworn swords, you can hop in there and discuss. You can actually, your voice will be heard on the podcast.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can check out some previous ones. We've had a quick shout out to our bannermen. We've got Lord Jason of House Ross, Lady Amanda of House Richardson, Lord Adam the Young Bull of House Parker, Sir Peter of House Whittingham, the Ghost of Harrenhal, a bannerman has no name, Lord Thanos of House Titan, Lord Nelson of the Long Isle, Lord Hunter, the Foul-Mouthed, and Sir Dustin of House Walls. So those are our current bannermen, and we've got plenty more of sworn swords. We've got members of the Night's Watch, and it's just a fun place for us to go in there and speculate. You get more access to the show, and you guys can influence
Absolutely,
it.
Absolutely, and on Raven's Nest, for a lot of our new listeners, we read. It's just like the episode we did the other day, Follow Up Friday, except we read fan theories, but you get a chance to interact and talk with them as well. As Sir Ezra said, your voice will be heard for the realm to hear. So, all right, guys. Well, we want to thank you for playing the Game of Thrones. In our next episode, we will be discussing episode 3. I'm guessing the Battle of Winterfell, and more fan theories on Follow Up Friday.
Yeah. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a raven at btkcast@gmail.com.
We will see you in a week, and remember, winter is here.